Welcome back to the next video, and in this video I'm going to show you exactly what the automation looks like for a local recruitment company and how we were able to help them streamline their processes from application all the way down to a booked interview and to qualify the right candidates. Now, to give you some context, not sure if you can see this through the camera, but we'll do our best. The problem that they had was manually screening every single application that came through. Now, in terms of the numbers, the data that we got, on average, they were getting roughly about 100 leads through Seek. And as a result, 50 to 60 of them were pre-qualified based off the ones that took action and applied through the application. Long story short, as a result, the recruitment manager was spending roughly about 32 hours to sift through those 50 to 60 applicants that came from Seek. So now let me share with you the actual automation and what it looks like. So as I said before, the problem that the recruitment company was having was manually screening through applications, replying to each applicant, following up on applicants that also did not complete the application or left a few documents out. And also, lastly, the most important one is they didn't have a nurturing system where they would capture the leads from, let's say, Seek, and whether they were a good fit or not, they didn't have a nurturing system that would keep them inside of their CRM so that they could keep in contact for the next 6-12 months, just giving them updates on what the recruitment company was up to, and if there were any new vacancies that were in alignment with that specific applicant, they would be able to reapply. Above all, I would save the recruitment company starting from scratch, because if you have a nurturing system, then you're able to keep in contact with that lead so that when situations change or their circumstances are a lot better in the future, let's say 3 months after they initially applied for the job, they may be ready because they're now certified or they've got their documents updated. They are now in a better position than they were 3 months ago, and now they can reapply. By having a nurturing system that's automated, the recruitment company can now send weekly updates to that applicant that may not have been a good fit in the beginning, but 3 months, 6 months down the track, they are. And if you've been giving them regular updates every single week, who do you think that applicant is going to come back to when they are in a better position to apply for that job? It's the one that's kept them in the loop and has kept in contact with them over that period of time. So moving to the automation, as I highlighted before, these were the problems that the recruitment company was having. What we did was we started off with the first step, which is a new application. Once a new application was received, the next step was to qualify them. So once an application entered our software, the recruitment company got notified, and also the applicant got notified, basically thanking them for submitting the application, and the recruitment company will be in touch with them. So part of the automation and why it's so powerful is because what used to take the recruitment manager 32 hours to sort through 50 to 60 applications has now been reduced to pretty much zero, because the automation takes care of every single step back and forth, and also qualifying the applicant before they actually jump on a phone call with the right candidate. As we move along the automation, once they were qualified, they were sent the next step, which was to answer more questions that were specific to the job position at hand. So this one here, for those of you that are in the space, this was a DOJ application. Once the applicant completed that form and submitted, the recruitment company were notified and everything was automated. So the next step was the recruitment manager had to review that form to make sure that everything that is required for that position was filled out correctly before they actually jump on a phone call. So how this process would normally work is the applicant would apply off Seek and then fill out the application. The problem with that is there'd be information missing or documents that weren't submitted. What we did was we made it so that they could not progress forward unless they answered that question and they ticked the relevant boxes to show that they were the right candidate for this position. So once the recruitment manager has seen that this applicant is a good fit for the job, then the automation would trigger an invitation to a one-way interview. Now, you're probably wondering, what is a one-way interview? Well, I'm glad you asked. What we found was the recruitment company were losing a lot of time by going back and forth this early in the application process. So instead, we created a one-way interview where we would list the questions that they would normally ask in an interview. Instead of the applicant replying via text, we got them to record their answer in the form of a video. They would go through a series of questions and they would have to submit their 5 video answers. And then at the very end, they would receive a video from the CEO, basically giving them an update and a backstory on his experience working within that space. Now, as a result, this particular job, DOJ, for those of you that are in the recruitment space, you'd be familiar with this. It's not a job for just anyone. It's only for a particular type of person. And as a result, if you went through all the 5 questions and then watched the video from the CEO, and then you might have thought, oh, this isn't really a good fit, there would be an automation that would kick in and it would ask you, now that you understand the role that is at hand, are you still interested? So we gave them the option whether to answer yes, still interested, or no, not interested. If the answer was no, that's fine. Then the automation would then send them off to another department within the recruitment company that has other types of jobs that they can offer. And the beauty about this system is majority of the questions that they answered in the beginning are also required in other jobs that this recruitment company offers. Once they complete this, it automatically gets updated and then it sends a notification to the recruitment team that this applicant has completed the one-way interview. And remember, there's 5 videos in there that the recruitment team can now view and see if this applicant is a good candidate for this job. Now, the next step, that applicant will get invited to a 2-way interview and the notifications are sent to the applicant and it updates the recruitment team to such and such applicant has completed the one-way interview. So now the automation sends them an invite to a 2-way interview with the recruitment manager. Now, once the applicant receives the invite, there's also a few more questions that are asked so that the recruitment company can find out more about the applicant before they jump on that 2-way call. And again, the answers that they give in the call via video submission, not text. And the reason why we went with video is so that the recruitment company can not only physically see the applicant, but then they can better understand if, let's say, English is their first language, then there shouldn't be any issues for them to move forward. Whereas if it is, then maybe they're not a good fit for this particular job, and then they can go to another part of the recruitment company that could find a better suited role for that applicant. Now, once that applicant completes the questions through a video submission, they then receive a booking calendar where they can choose a time and a day that suits them to have a 2-way interview with the recruitment manager. Now remember, at each step of this automation, every single person involved is getting notifications and updates via email and SMS. And the reason why is so that it keeps the momentum going, especially for the applicant, because they're probably looking at 10, 15 other job applications. So by setting up the automations at every single step that they complete, they now have the confidence that this recruitment company means business. So moving along, once that candidate is successful after having the two-way interview with the recruitment manager, and for the record, this interview could be done via Zoom, Google Meet, or physically in the office. And then again, once that step is completed, all parties are notified, and then we move on to sending the offer letter sent, and then the offer letter signed. Now these last three steps, obviously if it's in person, they'd do that in the office. Where if it's done via Zoom or Google Meet, obviously the automation would automatically send those documents to the applicant. So in summary, what we were able to do for this recruitment company is help them save 32 hours of manually scanning, filtering through resumes, applications, communicating back and forth, sending messages, following up, and nurturing them if they were not a good fit. We were able to help them reduce that literally to zero, and only talking to a qualified applicant when they get to this part of the automation, because a lot of time is wasted when applicants are not qualified. So therefore the automation takes care of the pre-qualifying and will only show qualified candidates for the recruitment manager to then book a two-way interview. And at the same time, every single piece of information or document that the applicant submits, if they get to this point and they're not a good fit for their role, but they're still interested in maybe some other area, then they go to another department of the recruitment agency where they have other jobs that are better suited for the applicant. So the power in our software is that it collects all the data right from the beginning, whether they're a good fit for this job or not. Because if they go to another area in the recruitment company where there is a job that is a good fit, the recruitment company doesn't have to ask them for all that data again. They've already got everything on file within our software. So hopefully you got value in this video. Be sure to subscribe and look out for video number 3, where I'll share my screen and I'll show you exactly what this automation looks like within our software.